Hello there, it's about 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Thank you for staying with us here on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubedulansa. Earlier you saw my colleague Samuel Kojo-Brace, who joined us from the Aqua Safari Resort. We have a special package from there for you today, so you want to stick and stay. He brought us the news, but it's now time for the newspaper review. We delve into the headlines in the various papers, and joining me to do that is my colleague Samuel Imbura. And I've got three papers here with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the major headlines or the front page stories, and then much later we delve into the details. So on the front page of the Daily Graphic, we have Memorial Mass held for Theresa Kufuor. Details of that story captured on pages 24 and 25, and you see a photo of the pallbearers carrying her remains. And the big one, SAL votes in 2024 elections. EC begins processes, and that's according to the Attorney General. Also, Ahafuman, SHS wins STEM Innovation competition, and the Ghana Geological Survey Authority launches 110th anniversary. So that's on the front page of the Daily Graphic. On the front page of the Finder, we have GIOP enrolls 17,340 out-of-school children into schools. That's according to the Education Minister. And again, that story about Ahafuman winning the STEM Innovation story is captured, and STEM Innovation competition is captured. And then this one, the tribute from the former president to his dear wife: "You left an unbridgeable void in my life." That's according to former President Kufuor. Front page of the Chronicle, Ghana hits bauxite jackpot as Nyenehin deposits appreciate by 50%. And customers sues MTN over alleged poor service, and Ghana Geological Survey Authority is 110 years. So that's what I have on the front pages of the Chronicle, the Finder, and the Daily Graphic. What do you have, Samuel?
I have the Daily Guide. Kufuor cries for Theresa as Ghana bids farewell. That's the biggest story. The Ashanti MPP clears aid to contest orphan seats. Is on page 6 of the Daily Guide. Nigeria's First Lady is a Paralympic patron. NDC fake codes plot exposed. Ato Forson closes case in 2.37 million euro ambulance trial. Those are the big stories on the front page of the Daily Guide. On the Ghanaian Times, we have former First Lady Kufuor begins last journey home. Local international dignitaries attend in pre-burial funeral right in Accra. We have pictures of those who are in attendance there. 15 TV stations land in trouble. National Media Commission vows to sanction them for offensive content. Government moves to support kidney transplantation locally at reduced cost. If you go to the front page of the Daily Statesman, Chief Justice urges police to protect judicial staff from attacks. It comes with a picture of the IGP, Dr. George Akufuor-Dampare, and the Chief Justice. National Media Commission receives 318 complaints of disturbing broadcast content. $50 million cranes commissioned as Phase 2 Tema Port expansion project begins, and President opens Library Technology Hub at Bantama. Peace Council calls for end to politics of religion. And the last paper is the BNFT, 8.4 billion Ghana cedis spent on free SHS in 7 years. EcoBank and AGF seal $200 million risk sharing deal, largest guarantee facility in sub-Saharan Africa, and GSE composite index up by 30.7% there. And
there's one on the an economist questioning the true impact of GDP growth amid industrial sector decline.
Exactly.
Right. So we'll just bring you some details of these stories and others captured in the papers. And I'm interested in that one on the Peace Council calling for an end to the politics of religion. We've seen that take another turn or dimension after the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, won the ticket to lead his party into the 2024 elections as flag bearer. That story is also on page 17 of the Daily Graphic, and I'm just going to read a bit of it, and then we can do some other stories. The National Peace Council, NPC, and other stakeholders have expressed concern about some recent insinuations and publications on electronic and social media seeking to inflame religious passions as the nation prepares towards the 2024 general election. The other stakeholders are the Christian Council of Ghana, the Office of the National Chief Imam, and the Catholic Bishops' Conference. The institutions have urged all individuals and groups engaged in such insinuations and publications to desist from such actions, as it's tended to destroy the country's long-cherished, pluralistic, friendly society. They go on to talk about diversity and also put into context why this conversation is necessary, Samuel. And we have seen or even heard some MPs say rather disturbing things about...
Unfortunate.
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, but I mean, I ask myself, what are the points to score in there? It's a question I've always wanted to ask. What is the point to score in there?
So the question you ask yourself is, if I had not said this, what would have happened or what wouldn't have happened? If you, the one who said this, that has now created a problem, causing this public conversation on religious tolerance, politics of religion, what wouldn't have happened? If you say this, is it going to score you more political points?
Exactly.
We are living in a heterogeneous society. We've been living peacefully, coexisting peacefully as Christians, as Buddhists, as Muslims in this country, as traditionalists and all that. And whenever I see such comments, I begin to become emotional because of the fact that it's like we are taking the peace we're enjoying in the country for a ride, or we are not taking it serious. Yeah. Is it the case that you have not seen examples from other countries? Why do you want to divide the country because of your parochial interest or your political ambition? It is absolute, I mean, I wouldn't use certain word, but it's absolutely unnecessary for you to go on that tangent, to use religion to champion your political discourse. And it must be condemned. And I expect that the one who has occasioned these comments should be called to order by his party. They should issue a statement, apologize, and let's move on. We are heating up to the 2024 general election. Bernice, you have already seen how the atmosphere is tense, and we need to calm the nerves of the people. Yeah. Some of us have been fortunate to hear those who matter in terms of the security situation in the country talking passionately about why there's the need for us to be measured in our commentary, because we don't know what will happen. With just a slip of our tongue and all that. I think it's something that must be condemned, and I think Peace Council is on the right trajectory, and then we must all join these calls to call out these politicians who want to ride on our senses or political gains and all that. It is something we should...
You know, what also makes me a bit uncomfortable is, are there no talking points for us politically? Are there no talking points that somebody's proclamation about another faith and the icon of that faith should not even come up in political discourse? Don't we have other matters, pressing matters? Why should this even be topical in the first place? So I just pray that beyond the call, like you're saying, we see some real action being taken. Especially, you talk about the political party as well. The political party is committing to ensuring that we have healthy debates. We are not saying that we should not have conversations. We know we are entering a political season. People want to convince others to vote for them. But we must agree on the terms and avoid all these unnecessary
comments. The unfortunate thing is the media as well. Portions of the media giving platforms to some of these tribal bigots, religious bigots, to make these unfortunate comments. Now, you also have newspapers or online bloggers highlighting these as news reports. I'm on one platform that I saw that this blogger kept the story there, and then I personally called him to say, look, this is not something you should accentuate in your news reportage. Remember that the role of the media is not just to report, you are also to mediate. Right. So why should we give opportunities to people to come and make such comments? It's something that we should all kick against and all that. In regards to peace, there is a call from the Chief Justice to the police to support them in terms of policing and then putting in place concrete measures at the court. At the moment, the Chief Justice has revealed that some of the courts have remained closed because of attacks on judges and the judicial personnel. So what they want now is that the police should strengthen their measures so that they'll be able to avert some of these challenges. If not, the situation will escalate. We have seen political, supporters going to court, storming the courts to attack judges. Nothing has been done, or even we talk the next day, nothing happens concretely. So they want to strengthen the measures going forward to ensure that anyone who misbehaves towards the judiciary would be dealt with accordingly.
I think it's a very timely call as well. But again, beyond the call, we hope that we see some real action being taken, because it shouldn't end with a meeting. It shouldn't end with a petition or a submission. We should see concrete steps being taken. And like you say, it's rather sad that the level of lawlessness and how deep you're sinking into that hole is worrying for me.
Sure.
Not only in terms of attacking the judiciary, but what it means is that people have literally decided to take the law into their own hands. Look at what happened in Garu and the aftermath and on all the things that have happened over the years, and how they all culminate in creating this kind of lawless outlook for us. It's rather disturbing. So I hope that the police will be able to make some real impact in there.
Exactly. So there's hard news that has hit the country has to do with the passing on of the former First Lady, Theresa Kufuor. We know Ghanaians gathered at the forecourt of the State House. They bid her farewell. Messages came in. One of the tributes that actually touched me had to do with the fact that she has been a supportive wife to her husband. 15 months of incarceration, and she was solidly behind the husband at the time that there was a coup d'etat in the country. And I think that she has paid her dues. We know she is a health professional. She has contributed to the health sector in the country. All what we can say is that God richly bless her and give her a resting place peacefully.
Yes, and you know, when you're somebody who makes such an impact, and I remember having that conversation with some of our colleagues in the newsroom, that no matter how old you get, there's just such a void that is created by your departure. Because sometimes, you know, when people pass and like, oh, how old was he? Oh, he's lived a life. You know, in Akan we'll say Wabobra. You know, but there's always that void that can never be filled, and that's what the former president talks about. He says, "You left an unbridgeable void in my life," and it was portions of that service were quite emotional for me, I must admit, and. When you read through the tributes, you just realize that she wasn't so, what's the word? You know, she didn't put herself up too forward. She wasn't all over the place, for lack of a better expression. But she still made the impact.
Playing the background role.
Yes. And so, I mean, basically what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter whether you're out there or you're behind the scenes. What matters is the legacy you leave and the impact you make. That is what people remember you for. And so we know that there will be another ceremony in the Ashanti region before she's finally laid to rest. So this is part of the pre-burial arrangement. So you stay with us here. We will be bringing you more on the burial of, or the final funeral rites of the former First Lady, Madam Theresa Kufuor. But you have more,
yeah? So 15 stations land in trouble. National Media Commission vows to sanction them for offensive content. So they've received over 300 complaints about indecent display of materials. And then that is, I mean, obviously against the regulations. So they have these inappropriate materials such as fake malams, fake pastors. We have also these games that they play, some of the indecent materials that they show. So there are 15 radio stations, TV stations, sorry, that the NMC says it is going to actually take actions against them. At least the names have been captured there, and I'm sure maybe this should be deterrent enough, because we know that some of these channels do not have the parent guidance or the discretion and all that. So children at any point just take the remote switch to some of these channels, and then they watch, and then at the end it can change their psychological mindsets about society. You know,
let me remind us about that incident in Kaswa where some 2 young boys allegedly killed a friend. And it generated conversations about media content and how all these stations that had come up with promoting this quick money, you know, bring money, you know, call me, whatever quick schemes that they were operating at the time. And we did something drastic. Some stations were closed, I remember. Some people were picked up for not even paying their regular, monthly subscriptions and all that. Why were we leaving those things unchecked?
Yeah.
After that incident, we went to sleep. Now we are back again. I hope we don't go to sleep again.
Yeah.
We must, and I know, because of our background, I mean, when you go to journalism school and you learn all about the background, the era of silence and how we were now allowed the freedom. People sometimes tend to abuse that. But we must enforce the laws. We must ensure that the screens are safe and wholesome. And people are not doing what they want because they have money. Because what it means is that, Samuel, if you have money, or if a group of friends of yours have money, you can come together, put up a station, and then do whatever you want to do on there. And that's problematic, because then you can have people who have a certain agenda, who may be sponsored by certain groups. You get where I'm going
exactly.
to?
I get your
and
point.
It's something worrying. We must look at critically.
There's a story that I think you should have an interest in. It is captured on the page 6 of the Ghanaian Times. It's actually a feature written by Michael Akeno. It says, discrimination against women in the Ghanaian culture and its negative repercussions in Ghana's developmental aspirations. We know we still have the 21st century, practices that you go to some parts of the country, they are still enforced. Women are not entitled to do certain things, even going to school, they see that to be an abomination. They rather want to push the men, and it is actually stampeding the growth of, if not equality, equity in the system. So this feature talks about the fact that there's a need for us to throw more light. Let us not rest on our odds. Continue the education on why there's a need for us to push more women to the forefront. Look at the political terrain. How many women do you have contesting elections? Sometimes they will tell you the reasons behind they not contesting has to do with the fact that the mindset, the societal mindset. So if you do some level of psychohistory about the political settings or the cultural settings that we have in the country, you realize that they think that some positions are not meant for women. They are meant for men. So even putting yourself up for such positions, you see that, you already see yourself disadvantaged. You think that you're not capable. The criticisms that come in, the attacks that come in, and all that. So I think this feature is in the right direction. Let us continue the awareness and empower women. I know you women are better managers of the homes and the economy. So imagine we have a woman as a president. I can imagine how maybe things could be different, because since 92, who has been our president? Do we have a female vice president? Maybe you can start such conversation if only you, the women, are ready to put yourself up for such positions. Well,
that's an arena you don't want to go into this morning, because it's quite complex with many facets. So you talk about the cultural inhibitions and the cultural restrictions. And sometimes it goes beyond cultural, okay? Even within the corporate space, you're asking yourself, what are the systems that are put in place to support women, to support development of women in their careers and all that? I remember when we were talking about the breastfeeding week and, the Ghana Health Service recommendations, even the WHO recommendations for workplaces to have
having a conducive,
convenient environments for women who have to work, but also have to feed their babies. And so when you have all these things in place, mind you, and I know women who have gone through it, and it actually boosts their productivity, because they know that within that corporate space, I have the peace of mind, right? Because I have the opportunity. There's a nursery. We know some organizations in Ghana that do that. They have a nursery where they have caretakers. So when it's time to breastfeed my baby, I go and do that. And the peace of mind yields more productivity. But on the other hand, there's another woman in a place where she's thinking about what's happening to my kid at home. She's getting calls, the baby is crying, you have to come home, and all those kind of things. So, it's not just the cultural. It's also... even as we modernize how we create environments and systems that accommodate the development of women in career and, other public and social positions. Okay, so this one about Ghana hitting a bauxite jackpot.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
It is good news, but my worry has to do with the benefits that the communities will get.
It's always about that, isn't it?
Whether the deal that we have gone into, sometimes you look at the royalties. What is the percentage going to the people? What is the negotiation for the corporate social responsibility for the people living in such areas? We've seen mining communities that the people are so impoverished. How are we going to alleviate them from that? My concentration has to do with a sustainable future.
Right.
What are the sustainable measures that we are putting in place that, in as much as we are mining these bauxites? What are the alternative livelihood support we are giving to the people living there? What will be the direct impact on the community? Then when we look at it from a larger perspective, the country as a whole. Are we going to refine everything in Ghana? Is there a component that we are taking outside? Some of these things should be looked at, and then then we can jump into excitement. It shouldn't be the case that we are going to go into bauxite mining, so we should be happy. But what do we stand to benefit as a country, as a community? What are the health packages that people are going to get, the education, sustainable livelihood? So we should be watchful about some of these things, and the civil society organizations in the mining or the extraction industry should take keen interest. I've spoken to some of them when this issue came up, and then they were of the view that they are looking at the interest of the people. We should not end it there. We should scrutinize, even though government has assured us that, it is a deal that will be in the best interest of Ghanaians. We should not leave it there. You should not leave it to the politicians. The politicians may not be able to manage it well for us because they have their political interests, they have elections ahead and all that. Let us hold them accountable and be part of the change process.
Right, so you can read details of that story about Ghana hitting a bauxite jackpot on pages 2 and 3 of today's edition of the Chronicle. And let me just remind you, if you just joined us, that we have a special show for you today. Samuel Kojo is at the Aqua Safari Resort in Ada, where he's going to be bringing us conversations from, also showing us the beautiful scenes in that place. I mean, it's already calming me down. You know, when I look at the stillness of the water, I look at the greenery of the space, and I just feel like
Actually, I was supposed to go there last weekend.
What happened?
Something came up.
Oh.
But I'll surely go.
The one you were supposed to go with didn't show up.
No. I'll go there.
Anyway. So quickly wrapping up on this, Ahafuman SHS wins STEM Innovation Competition on page 11. Congratulations to Ahafuman. You've done very, very well. And in today's editorial, or in the daily graphic, sustaining interest in local level elections. How many of us are actually interested? There's one coming up shortly. I just think that we need to do more to work at our decentralized system. I think it's not in practice. We're decentralized on paper. But when it comes to the real practicality of governance and the governance structure and system, even the constituents don't hold their assemblies and municipal authorities as accountable as they hold their MPs. Their MPs are legislators. So they are lawmakers.
The reason they hold them accountable is because of the promises that our MPs go to make. You know that this construction of road is not your core responsibility. You are there to advocate the needs of the people in Parliament, influence decision and policy taking at the national level. But they'll come and tell you, if you vote for me, I'll construct this bridge, I'll take you to school, I'll give you money. Some of them will even promise giving money to young men to marry their wives. And I mean, if you come and give them such promises, why won't they think so? But the MMDAs are those that should be held responsible. They are supposed to have the council, the assembly meetings regularly with their people to update them, invite the MPs to come and tell them what is happening in Parliament, involve the people. That's why we used to have this town council system. They gather there periodically to inform them what the assembly is doing, localize it, get the views of the people, bring together the assembly members, get their views, get the ordinary residents or citizens, get their views to influence decision taking. Have your own, developmental plan at the district level or the municipal level. Then your MP can influence policy direction towards that. But it is rather unfortunate that we are not actually seeing the decentralization process coming into effect as expected. And It is all about partisan politics, and everything that we have to do, though we say on paper we are practicing a decentralized process, but most of the decisions or the projects are determined from the centralized point and then pushed down the throat of the people. I think it's something that we should all have keen interest in and start practicalizing it, if only we are really practicing a decentralized system of governance.
Well, I don't know how many of you watching us today will be interested in voting for your assembly men and assembly women, but that's coming up.
Yes, coming up. So the EC has opened the nominations for that. So anyone who is interested can go for the forms. But I think the advocacy or the awareness on that is quite on the low. It's just a few. Those who are still contesting that are aware now. Some of them are gearing up to do that. But we need to look at people who can do the job, not people who talk plenty, they can't do anything.
It's interesting. Well, interesting days ahead, even as we wrap up 2023, looking ahead into 2024 and what it promises in terms of the political climate and all that we are going to see prior to the 2024 elections. You know, this is your election headquarters, and so you want to stay with us for all that. Thank you so much, Samuel, for joining me to do this. Samuel Imbura is my colleague, and we just brought you the headlines on the front pages of the various papers and some details from some of the stories captured in there. Well, it's now time for Prime Take with Muftau Nabila. Do stay with us.